As a U.S. citizen child, I should not have to be wondering if my parents will come back home. And since this president took office, I have even had to wonder if I would come home. Pregnant mothers are afraid of their babies not being able to have a home. Our families are worth fighting for, and our communities are worth fighting for. And that's why I will keep fighting.
And so I want to begin by saying, my fellow Americans, because that's what we are. And that's what the Supreme Court upheld this morning. The notion that goes back more than 100 years. And the Constitution couldn't say it more clearly. If you are born in the United States, you are a citizen.
Hey guys, good morning. It is June 30th. Happy Tuesday. Here's what's happening. The Supreme Court this morning issued their ruling in regards to birthright citizenship. In a vote of 6-3, the Supreme Court has ruled to uphold the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. If a child is born to undocumented migrants in the United States of America, they are indeed a U.S. citizen. The Supreme Court has struck down Donald Trump's executive order banning birthright citizenship, so I expect we'll see another meltdown on Truth Social today. Speaking of the Constitution, Representative Keith Self from Texas, along with other Republicans, have introduced a bill to try to repeal the 17th Amendment of the Constitution. The 17th Amendment, if you're not aware, gives the American people the choice to vote who they want to represent them in the U.S. Senate. Keith Self wants to do away with that and instead put the power of who is chosen into a single representative. So they want to take away your vote on who represents you. Yeah. Representative Tom Keene Jr. from New Jersey has been missing for months. He somehow managed to get reelected even though he was missing. However, he showed up at the House today to explain his absence. Representative Keene Jr. says that he was diagnosed with depression and that's why he was absent for months at a time. But here's the thing. If you or I got diagnosed with anything and went missing from work for months, would we still have a job when we got back? Just a real question there. Speaking of missing representatives, Mitch McConnell has been in the hospital since June 15th. We've heard one update about his health, and that was that he was receiving treatment, and we've heard nothing since then. So does anybody know where Mitch McConnell is? Yeah. The Trump administration is now floating the idea of pardoning 250 people for America's 250th. But don't worry, they're not going to do it in any way other than if somebody has $1 million or $2 million, they can pay for a pardon. Yeah. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys today. As always, it is fuck Donald Trump, fuck this administration, fuck ICE, and fuck Maga. The rest of you, though, I hope you have an amazing Tuesday.
My fellow Americans, because that's what we are. And that's what the Supreme Court upheld this morning. The notion that goes back more than 100 years. And the Constitution couldn't say it more clearly. If you are born in the United States, you are a citizen. Period. It doesn't get more clear than that.
This is a fight of who belongs and who this administration wants to erase. And we won't let them do that. No. To all of the people at home, all of the freedom fighters that came before us, who continue to fight, organizers, attorneys, activists, everybody at home. Birthright citizenship, this victory is not the end. It is not the beginning, but it's a reflection and a pause.
I'm sure the conclusion from this opinion is going to be that you got to amend the Constitution to fix that. As we all know, it's a big challenge to amend the Constitution. It's only happened 27 times in our whole nation's history, and the reason is because you got to have 2/3 of both chambers of Congress and 3/4 of the states to ratify. It's usually at least a many years long process and very complicated.
Massive breaking news right now. The United States Supreme Court has struck down Donald Trump's birthright citizenship executive order, ruling that if you are a child born to undocumented parents in the United States of America, you are in fact a United States citizen, upholding the text of the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. This is a massive blow for the President of the United States, who has been begging this Supreme Court to uphold his birthright citizenship executive order and essentially change the text of the 14th Amendment. Well, today the court, in a 6-3 decision, said no. Justice Thomas dissented, joined by Alito, Alito and Gorsuch also filed their own dissenting opinions. The majority, Justice Roberts, Justice Kavanaugh, Justice Barrett, and the 3 liberal justices. A massive loss for the President of the United States. He has been waiting for this decision. He has wanted this decision, and well, now he has lost this decision. Follow along for all the news you need to know about. More to come soon.
I think anybody who looks at this, oh dear, what they rule. Well,
This is real time.
I need to read the opinion, okay? But obviously that's, I mean, you could say that's a textualist, originalist view. However, I do think that this has been grossly abused in recent years, okay? And that is the case that was being made by the plaintiffs in the case, and we're very sympathetic to that because it is a serious problem. We have it's become a tourism, birthing tourism, they call it, a trend where people will just come and you just come onto the soil and have your child, and then they're able to avail themselves of the welfare state and everything else. It's been abused. It's one of those things that was intended to serve a noble and important purpose, and has been thwarted and overused and abused. And so I'm sure that we'll continue to look at that. I mean, I'm sure the conclusion from this opinion is going to be that you got to amend the Constitution to fix that. As we all know, it's a big challenge to amend the Constitution. It's only happened 27 times in our whole nation's history. And the reason is because you got to have 2/3 of both chambers of Congress and 3/4 of the states to ratify. It's usually at least a many years long process and very complicated. We'll see. I'm sure there's going to be lots of discussion about that. I will say I'm very disappointed in that outcome. I think it subjects the country to serious challenges going forward, and we'll have to deal with it as a Congress.
Birthright citizenship and the 14th Amendment have been upheld by the Supreme Court. This is breaking out of Washington, where Chief Justice Roberts read the following decision. In a massive blow to Donald Trump and Republicans, the Chief Justice wrote in his opinion, "Children born in the United States to parents unlawfully or temporarily in the United States are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States and therefore are citizens at birth under the 14th Amendment." They decided this on the constitutionality and language of the 14th Amendment itself. They didn't decide it on anything else. So Trump's executive order has been struck down. This was a 6-3 decision. So 2 of the conservative justices sided with the court's liberals, upholding the constitutionality and language of the 14th Amendment. Again, this is a massive blow to Donald Trump and the right wing in the United States right now. And I do expect there to be a massive response and outcry from them, which I will bring that to you later once the ketchup stops flying at the White House.
A major legal ruling involving birthright citizenship has triggered strong reactions from supporters of former President Donald Trump, commonly known as the Maga movement. Supporters argue the ruling could affect immigration policy, while critics say the Constitution clearly protects birthright citizenship. In today's video, we'll explain what the ruling means, why people are reacting so strongly, and what could happen next. Birthright citizenship is the principle that most people born in the United States automatically become U.S. citizens. This protection comes from the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, adopted after the Civil War. For more than a century, this constitutional provision has been interpreted to grant citizenship to nearly all children born on U.S. soil, regardless of their parents' immigration status, with limited exceptions such as children of foreign diplomats. Because it is rooted in the Constitution, changing this policy would generally require either a constitutional amendment or a different interpretation by the courts. The recent legal ruling did not automatically end birthright citizenship nationwide. Instead, it focused on procedural and legal questions related to challenges against executive actions and how lower federal courts can issue nationwide injunctions. As a result, the broader legal battle over birthright citizenship is expected to continue in lower courts. Supporters and critics are interpreting the ruling differently, making it one of the most discussed legal decisions of the year. Regardless of political opinion, this ruling highlights how closely law, politics, and immigration are connected in the United States. The legal process is still ongoing, and future court decisions could further shape how these issues are handled. What do you think about this debate? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. If you found this update helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more breaking news and political analysis. But thank you for watching.